Hi guys, sorry I'm a bit late. Sorry, I am here. Let me just put the screen on there. There we go. Right, looking at, oh gosh, what happened there? Looking at the NASDAQ, and I am looking at the FTSE as well. Both markets are just a little bit weaker so far today. I think we got maybe a little while to wait. Let me just do one thing here. Get rid of that. There we go. Right. So we have got, as I say, Nasdaq under a little bit of stress here. The 15-minute chart here is showing probably the most telling. There's a head and shoulders pattern, which is probably around about the right type of size. Now, I would quite like to get the Nasdaq, but I'm probably interested if it pushes up to the trend line. Rather than here. The FTSE is really under stress right now. We took a trade in the FTSE earlier on, so hopefully everybody's trading that one and doing well out of it. So the question is, are they all going in the same direction? Let's have a look. Now, Ethereum's still just above the price point, so that one's all right. Now I have got a trade. Let's have a look at the S&P. S&P has got this pattern running. Let's just tidy up this pattern on the S&P. It does appear that we are in a bit of a range at the minute. Now, where is it with the S&P? S&P is now there. So the range on the S&P has just started to come off a little bit, but let's just check it over a longer time period and see what that shows us. The weekly doesn't tell us too much. Last month, interesting, isn't it? I mean, we're kind of we did look at a negative end to the month last month, but prices have rallied off the back of that. But it is showing that there is, genuine weakness up here. S&P probably needs to get itself above the 3511. Now I'm going to check the VIX. I unfortunately can't check it on this this account here. Yeah, the VIX doesn't look too expressive, when kind of looking around at some information. The VIX doesn't look too expressive when showing that it is the market is likely to move lower, and market breadth is around about 50-50 at the minute. So even though we are seeing negativity on the FTSE, I don't know whether that is going to continue hugely. Aussie yen and dollar Swiss. Thank you, Mai. On the H1 or 4 hour. Let's have a look. Well, Aussie yen. If the markets are under stress, first thing before I even open the chart, without looking at it, I think the first thing that I would do is figure out whether we're in a risk on or risk off environment, because the two things you're trading there, dollar Swiss a little bit less to a degree, but certainly the Aussie yen is a risk on currency pair. So if we're in a risk off environment, it would suggest that we shouldn't be looking for the longs today. Now whether there's a short and I don't know, but we shouldn't be looking at the potential for a long. Now when it comes down to dollar Swiss, they could counterbalance each other because the dollar seems to be somewhere that people are going for a safe haven, and having a cursory look at the dollar index, it looks like it's come off a little bit. So there might be an opportunity to buy the dollar Swiss. But let's have a look at the Aussie first of all and see what that is suggesting. Okay, so if you're looking at the 4 hour, the first thing that you want to do is check out the weekly. Now we haven't had a close of this bar on the weekly, so we've really got kind of an unestablished piece of information when it comes down to the weekly. We don't have that kind of reversal bar at this stage. But what is the daily suggesting? So the daily is suggesting that we have a trend line along there. which we're in a buy zone. And there's a trend line along here, and a pretty good one as well. That's tidy. So it looks like we're just under that trend line there, which does suggest that that there is some potential resistance there for the Aussie yen, with that being the buy zone. That a close under 75.37 would make it a much easier decision to make. Where you are right now, it's tight. You're in a really tight range, so it would suggest to me that there's it would be better to wait for this one, and see if you get, because if you enter here, the thing about doing this is that if you were to enter here, short. Now, it's got to be a short. Looking at this 4 hour, it's in a downtrend. You've got the high up here, and there's the lower high there. There's a lower low there. There's a lower high. Looks like we're just in that on the lower low. So you must be looking at the short. But the problem is has got to be this this particular area. In actual fact, it looks like it might be a bit tighter. Looking at this this time frame. Let's see where we can get line. Yeah, that looks about right actually. From the low to this point, there's enough in the way of traffic here to suggest that there is a trend line there. It might not be the trend line. There might be one here instead. But the easiest way to play it would be, at this stage, it looks a little bit late if you're looking at the 4 hour. Whether you're going to trade this one or not. And the easiest way to play it would be allow it to break through, and then trade it on the retracement, and you'll get a similar price potentially as long as it retraces. But you want it to take out this low here, and you want it to take out the trend line. You want it to definitely close under there. So the first thing on the 4 hour, you've got at least another however many hours to wait before this 4 hour bar is done. But if this 4 hour bar closes under this point, then you've got a potential trade after that. But it looks a little bit early otherwise. Let's have a look on the hourly. The thing is, the risk off environment is good at this particular stage. I'm not seeing the VIX like kicking up, which is a bit of an issue, but certainly the way that the FTSE's being, if the FTSE's any gauge on expression of the markets today, then that looks pretty good. That looks like a decent resistance zone there. So you could enter at 75.69, knowing that you're going to come out with a stop at the high. But it would be much better just to be patient here. There is a suggestion that this is coming down, and I would concur with your directional analysis if you are looking for a short in the Aussie yen. But I'm not sure whether this would be the best timing to try and get into this. It could be a little bit sticky, and it might not even be ready till tomorrow. I'm looking at the Nasdaq and the S&P, and both of them look a bit weak today. But I can't see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not too. I wouldn't be too happy with trading those. The FTSE's a bit different. When you look at the pound, the pound's had a huge boost to the upside. So with that, it would suggest that the FTSE would be a bit weaker. Now the dollar, I don't know how the dollar is reacting now, but let's have a look at the next one on your list, which is the dollar CAD. It's dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss. Where's our dollar Swiss? There we go. Yeah, dollar Swiss. You're looking to short both. Okay. The dollar Swissy, I'm not so keen on for a short. And I'll tell you the reason why. Let me just open up the. I think the Aussie yen would express a risk-off attitude and a risk-off sentiment, which is great. And I see that. Hey SF, how you doing, buddy? I do see that, but this one I mean, look at where it is already. It's right on top of that weekly pivot. The issue and the daily actually. The big issue with the dollar, generally speaking, is that when we look at this on a look at it on the weekly so far, we don't have any kind of a confirmation that this is holding here. But the problem is on the weekly, at this particular stage, we have got a low here and a high here, which makes this a higher high. Is this a higher low? You know, are we starting to see the first throes of an uptrend? And I do think that is a bit of a question with the dollar right now. It's just is it kind of ready now to stretch its legs back to the upside, just for a period? Now, if we go down to some of the other time frames and see if we can get any more information on that, the daily. And I completely understand the level that you're looking at, because it does look like it has rejected that point, which it has. So there isn't a long in the market, that's for sure. But I don't know whether this is developed enough. And considering where you are on top of that weekly and daily pivot, it looks like a very dangerous place to try and trade to the upside. Now, given what's going on with the market and the fact they're a bit tepid, that the way that the markets are, they're a bit squeezed today. The dollar may well pick up, but if it's not to do that, then I don't know how much room you've got. It could come down to this low here, but then hold again. Let's just see if you got enough room if you did want to. Yeah, there's not a whole bunch of room. I mean, 60 is going to be, well, you could get a 2-to-1 if it came right down to the low. I don't think the timing is right for a really big move to the downside with the dollar, and that would be my issue with it. So if your analysis and your sentiment and your opinion is that this is going lower, and you're just asking me, if there was a potential for it to go lower, where would you enter? Then I think I'd want to enter on the trend line again. This is a buy zone currently. And if you did want to trade this, then you want it to go through that buy zone and come back at you. So if it starts to kind of, genuinely close down there, then you might start to look here for a potential selling opportunity. But I just don't think you've got enough room. I mean, that would be, what would that be? 34 to 50. Yeah, I mean, if it was a case of where's the best entry, then I would suspect the best entry is any time from 91.38 right the way through to this high here, 91.51. So there's your sell zone if you were really keen on selling it. I wouldn't be personally. I don't think there's enough information. But if you are keen on selling this one, and your analysis has brought you to the opinion that this is going short and this is going lower, then that would suggest that this is the sell zone here, in there somewhere. Yeah, the pound is moving fast, which is grand. That's what I don't know if you were in the earlier show, John, but I was saying that I'm short. Yes, I'm short on the euro pound. And I've been short for a while on the euro pound. We did take this one in the show actually. It looked a bit spooky and a bit hairy for a while, but looking much better now. And the reason that the pound is moving like it is that effectively, I suppose Boris Johnson has done what he always does, which is come out and have a U-turn. That he is the kind of he's the king of U-turns. If there was some sort of driving test, he would pass every single time if doing a U-turn was part of it, because he's just he's renowned for it. And it sounds to me like he's done it again. I don't think there's enough detail on it as yet, But the headline I saw was that the negotiations are going to continue after Boris Johnson's October the 15th date. So that's the reason. That's the reason we're starting to see the pound move. Now I'll read you the article, which says that Brussels, the European Union and Britain are set to prolong Brexit talks past a mid-October deadline to try and bridge persistent gaps holding up a new agreement, according to sources and documents. So it's just, of course, it's a source according to sources at the minute. As the year-end deadline approaches to put in place a new trade agreement with Britain, EU leaders meeting on Thursday and Friday will tell their Brexit negotiators to set up talks to get a deal by the 1st of January 2021, according to the draft summit decision seen by Reuters. UK negotiator David Frost is then due to tell Prime Minister Boris Johnson if he thinks it's worth continuing the torturous negotiations and whether a deal on everything from trade to transport and energy cooperation is possible. A source close to the talks who spoke under the condition of anonymity said that Frost would say a deal was difficult but not impossible if both sides keep talking and work intensively in the coming weeks. The EU summit is expected to conclude that progress in the talks with Britain is still not sufficient to seal a new trade pact now, and will also step up preparations for an abrupt split without a deal to avoid trade tariffs or quotas from 2021. EU leaders would also tell Britain it must implement in full its earlier Brexit divorce treaty. So I suppose if there are talks, then if talks are to continue, it would probably express that that a deal is highly probable, because they're not going to walk away at any point. Oh, no problem, mate. You went in today. Okay. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's likely to kick it down the road. I mean, there's still problems with fisheries, and there is still some issues with trade alignment as well, goods alignment. You know, so that's one of the reasons that we're really seeing Boris Johnson row back on some of this stuff. So you know, that's where we see the euro pound. And looking at this on the daily, if the daily was to end up looking like that, it would look fairly attractive for our target down here at 88.74. So that's the target that I'll be looking at to take profit if this does continue. Weekly chart looking pretty negative as well. So 88.90 actually looks like on the weekly chart. So let's see if we can get down there. It looks like the real opportunity. Yeah. So sorry, 8906 is my target for the euro pound. So euro pound is still a short. The FTSE is also a short, and there might even be. I might be getting ready to close that FTSE trade actually anyway. Yeah, I think I probably will. 59.22 was my target on the FTSE, so I'm going to close that one up as well. But the FTSE is weaker because of the pound's strength. Oh, undoubtedly, John. Undoubtedly, but that's the thing, isn't it? You know, if there's a necessity to do something, then logic tends to prevail, and that's one of the reasons that I was quite happy to short the pound. Short the euro pound, and you know, and add to some positions, which I'll show you. I mean, this is the way I play the euro pound. Let me bring it over here for you. This is the way that I've played the euro pound, and it's really just you know, making sure that there was another opportunity, and I took two positions. I took one here, and in fact back here, and it started to go up. But then as soon as it came back up again, I was selling it off again. And the reason I did that is because when I looked at this on a broader picture here, Yeah, no problem. These are the entries here. I had one a couple of days ago that you guys know about, don't you? And I said I was going to shove a stop. You were taunting me for having a not putting a stop loss in, and I said I'd put one in. So there's 1 miles up, but then I've re-entered today because the market came up to this particular point, and I as I explained, what I like to do is scale in to a position. I don't I didn't quite catch the number or the numbers. No problem, mate. But I'll just quickly show you, the reason of the scaling was because of that trend line there. As soon as it's starting to come up there, and I was a little bit late to be honest. I was about 10 pips too late. I would have preferred to know that was happening, but I checked the charts again, and I thought, oh, actually, okay, it's near the price again, so I re-entered. But my first entry was 0.90692. Oh, well done, John. Well done. Do you know what? It's so important. My second entry was at 0.91080. Now the target is down here on the weekly chart at 0.8909. 0.8909. And I'll be moving stops to break even on the aggregate of those two positions fairly soon. What Brexit is not good news, Alan. No, it's just kind of, I suppose. It's just the fact that they're going back into negotiations again. They're quite happy to sit around the table again and talk about it. Yeah, the pound is volatile, and this is the thing. Now you remember when we were talking about the euro pound, and you guys were saying to me that I really should put the stop in, and I said, well, I will put the stop in, but it's when I go to bed. But otherwise, I'm going to watch it. But yeah, doing it in that particular way was better because I could scale in. So I got distracted by your next question. No, XPX got closed out. So I did exactly what I said I was going to do with the XPX. I just trailed the stop down, made a little bit. Awesome. Yeah, small profit. Same, Alan. Yeah, I got a small profit out of that as well. But we took a FTSE trade earlier today. Remember the FTSE trade from today? Were you in the show this morning? We took a FTSE trade this morning, and that's just made. Yeah, do you get that one as well? I've just closed. Oh, okay, mate. No worries. I just closed that position on the FTSE, and I'll show you why. I think I mean it's possible that it comes down to this this pivot, but it's only 15 pips away. Now my entry was up here at 92, so got a good 70 pips out of that one. It was a decent trade, that one. But what was the point I was going to make? Oh yeah, the reason I've taken profit here is because there could be a little springboard here, and now there's a trend line somewhere. I don't know why. I think I might have just been looking at the futures. You know what, this the UK 100 always looks a bit different to the futures, and I've taken it off and I usually, I view the futures on another platform and make sure that now why did I just take that profit? There was a reason. No, I can't see why. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is, but I think I've maybe just undercut it a little bit. Do you know the reason why? Is because of the last week's bar. last week's opening price. That's why I've decided to take the profit here rather than let it get down to the, you can see that you probably can't see actually, but let's delete these. Now this does look different on this than it does on the futures for some reason. But there was method to it anyway. So we've had a profitable few days actually. FTSE was really good. The S&P is really good. The euro pound has been really good. What else? I mean, it makes up for last week. Terrible week really last week. We had natural gas, which was an absolute dog for me. And I'm sure something else, no doubt as well, which wasn't so good. But we are back in the driving seat. We're making profit again, which is grand. We'll update the journal later on, and we are looking at a market which is a little bit undecided. Yeah. So John's just saying he's learning to not chase price after it's gone. Save 3 losses by not doing it today. That's brilliant, mate. It's the most important aspect, and you know, we work for all the time in the world on how we're going to trade, how we're going to take an entry, and how we're going to take an exit. But there's so little work done on ourselves, and that really is where the job should start. You know, how do you work on yourself? How do you get your head right? And as you say, you know, ultimately chasing the market is just not the way to do it, because the market will always do, you know, often I should say, do just what you don't expect. And I'm going to show you an example of that with the NASDAQ. I'd love to go short the NASDAQ. And I'll show you what I've been looking at with the NASDAQ. I'd love to go short the NASDAQ, and look what's been happening. So we'll bring this up with pivots here and bring this on the 15-minute chart. So these are the signals that you kind of like, you know, you're getting thrown at you all the time. Bearish bar, bearish bar. So you put your entry in, then all of a sudden it does this. You know, and I haven't shorted the NASDAQ, but this is the kind of problem that we're always faced with, is that you get your entry, you get your opinion, you get your signal, and then all of a sudden it's just been swallowed up, and it goes in the opposite direction, and now you're back in thinking, well, what was the point in me waiting for this signal when it isn't an entry signal? It's not turning out to be the right entry signal, because the next 3 bars have decided to sweep that away. Now, on the reason why I want to go short the NASDAQ, I've got this head and shoulders pattern up here. I don't like where it is my biggest problem. You know, the NASDAQ's just in the middle of nowhere. It's not there and it's not there. So we're not kind of at a key level, if you like. You know, we talk about key levels. We're not a key level. This is kind of nowhere in some respects. I mean, when we kind of change time frames, then we do get a slightly different perspective. So if you look at that there, you know, it's almost the break of that bar, the retest of the breakout bar, or you could say that the low down there is the retest of it. But I just don't like where it is, you know, in the trend. But that doesn't mean that I don't anticipate us having some kind of retracement before we get up here. You know, I think the NASDAQ has got a really good chance of coming down and then bouncing and trying to get to the highs, but you know, rather than just going straight all the way up. So I would like to get a short on the NASDAQ, but I've got a big question about where it is, and I've got a bit of a problem with that. And because of it, I don't think I can trade it. And unless I've got some really good information. But anyway, the pattern here is this head and shoulders. Now, I really like that. So taking all things into account, I don't have a good level, but I do have this hourly pattern. And this, as I say, this is the sort of thing that we are faced with all the time. We're faced with being thrown a signal in the wrong place, and then having to justify how it's the right place, which it could be. You know, it could be. But if I'm going to trade this, the safest place for me to trade this, in fact, I'm going to leave that open. In fact, no, I won't leave it open, because the guys in the, we're just about to shift over to the US show. Right, I'm going to just share with you guys that are in the room, in the normal room as well. The best place for me to enter this is here. is if it comes here, because at least I'm going to get instant, because I'm in an uptrend and I'm not in the right place to kind of trade this, but I'm going to get instant information or instant, what's the word? I can't even think of the word, but it's I'm certainly going to get a reaction. Instant answer. Let's just call it an answer. I'm going to get the answer of whether this is an uptrend or a downtrend here, not here. I will get it here because if it breaks through, it's going to take out this high, and then all of a sudden, I was wrong. But if it doesn't manage to break through and we start coming down, then I can start managing the trade, and I've got a much better risk to reward ratio. So because of the way that the market looks, I can't take a signal here. I have to wait until it comes up, and hopefully it will. And we got about 29 minutes before the US Open, so we'll see if that happens. And I will put an order in the Nasdaq along this trend line here, and we'll see if we get in. Anyway, we better push off. Let's start the US show. I've got to get my you can let me know when you are ready to go. Are we what era are we in? Are we in the 70s?